religion can be one of the factors that one of the reasons why they take the political ideology to an extreme. But as you mentioned, it's also something that actually can counter the extremism. So actually, that's quite interesting. We'll definitely include Islam as a way to moderate political extremism. So moving on to the second question, what separates an acceptable political ideology from an extreme political ideology, both in the political sense and also in religious sense?
From which background you want to address, in Malaysian context,
Okay.
context?
This is generally.
Okay. So the question
Yeah.
asks what separates between
What's an
extreme.
acceptable political ideology and an extreme political ideology? Where do we draw the line?
Okay. Who should draw the line? That should be the first thing we try to understand here, because this is a very complicated question. If you put yourself as a political leader, someone who has ambitions to lead the party, to run the country under certain political vehicle or party, sometimes the leader like this, they rely also on extreme groups in the party. We cannot deny this. To take advantage of the fanatical groups who are so obsessed with the party and yourself as a leader that they see, mobilizing this group is easy because they already become the loyal side for you. So some leaders may take that to their advantage, and that can light fuel of extremism in the party and in the society. So how to separate this? Then we need someone, leader, who knows and who look at the issue of politics and society and the development of the civilization as his responsibility to be a responsible leader. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you look at Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, despite all the persecution did to him and the early Muslims, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he knew how to tame the Muslims. The Muslim can go very aggressive under the command of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam because first realize they had been persecuted. They have the rights to pay back. But look at during the time of Fathul Makkah, how Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed his leadership. He don't take that point as a revenge moment, and his followers basically follow that. And you can see how there was one conversation between Abu Sufyan. He came across Bilal bin Rabah and two other companions who were, during the time of Jahiliyyah Arabs, who were slaves. But then they converted, they became Muslim. And this is the status of Bilal, the early converts. I cannot remember who are the two, but three of them. This is during the time of Fathul Makkah. They came across Abu Sufyan. Abu Sufyan, to some seerah author, they would say during Fathul Makkah, Abu Sufyan is just a new Muslim. He's not really, the iman is not really entering into his heart yet, but he is safe. Whoever enters the house of Abu Sufyan, they are protected. And then when he come across these companions, Bilal said to him, "You were lucky. Had we came across you before this, you may have been killed. You may have been killed." That's what Bilal told him. And then that statement by Bilal was overheard by Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq then reported this to Nabi SAW, because Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was in the opinion that Bilal should not say this to Abu Sufyan, because Abu Sufyan is one of the
Yes.
chieftain of Mecca. He is somebody.
Hmm.
Then when this was came to the knowledge of Nabi Sallam, and Bilal knew this, he was not happy. And then what Nabi SAW said to Abu Bakar Siddiq? Nabi SAW said to him,
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Nabi said to him, cannot remember what Nabi said, but cannot remember exactly what the point, what Nabi SAW said to him, but uh, Nabi SAW implied that Bilal, what Abu Bakar told Nabi may have upset Bilal and his other friends, and that is not favorable to Nabi SAW.
Sallallahu
Okay.
alaihi wasallam.
If you also notice what Nabi SAW did at the time of early Fathul Makkah, Bilal was asked to climb the Kaabah and stand and say azan over there.
Hmm.
Right? Bilal, who was persecuted, abused, and on that very historical moment, he was asked to climb Kaabah, in front of the huge crowds. So what my point here, going back, this is a bit too long tangent, but the
Tangent, yeah.
point here is how leader can direct the followers. This is one angle of how to separate. Maybe I elaborate that too long. Another angle to separate between politics and extremism is uh, how the how mature is the democracy in the country. Usually extremism would exist because of competition across different political parties. They want to exert their dominance, influence, and sometimes people who are not well versed in mature democracy may go overboard. So, for example, you can see in some countries like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, suddenly bomb exploded, and even in Irish, Scotland, all this political extremism, they go to that
Hmm.
extreme. Even though in Western democracy that some may think they are advanced in their democracy, but still they are extremists in that context. So how people can restrain the freedom given in a democracy? That's another issue. Okay? So political education, constitutional or legal education should be one way how citizens can be well educated about their rights as a citizen and their rights as voters in a democracy. That's important. I think enough with this too. Too long.
Right. So we got your three main point, which is what separates extremism from moderate political ideology is the leader itself, the maturity of the democracy, and the follower. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Shall we proceed to the third question?
Okay.
Now, coming into the our case study, which is the genocide on Palestinians by the Zionists. Do you think that the Zionist group should be considered as religiously extreme? And why do you say so?
Okay.
Hmm.
Kejap Boleh tak saya nak jawab satu WhatsApp kejap?
Boleh,
Sekejap je.
boleh. Please take your
Sekejap
time.
Hmm. Sekejap Okay, sorry for that. Okay, now back to our session. Uh, Zionist religion. Apa lagi satu?
Should it be considered as religiously extreme or
Hmm.
religious extremist? Yeah.
Okay. A few things I want to highlight from that questions. Number one, Zionism is not is not at all religious in any way because Zionism is secular. If you look at the teaching of Judaism, there are many rabbis who were upset with Zionist movement. That's why if you follow the issues today, some Jewish would say we should be able to differentiate anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. Anti-Semitism means Semitism means the group the Jewish. Okay, so anti-Semitism means people who don't like this Jewish group, and this Jewish group they are they have their own society. They follow Judaism as their religion. So that's one aspect. Are we, or uh, because of the current conflict, the hatred against Jews, the hatred against Jews can go to the extreme level when people disconnect between Zionist political agenda and the true followers of Judaism. I'm not sympathetic to uh, whatever situation now when I say this, but I think there is some um, aspect of that, anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism that we need to understand. So that's one aspect. Number two, Zionism is not a religious-based political movement. It is something that emerged at the time of the end of colonization between the Western powers who planned the relocation of certain Jewish into back into Palestine, and actually that had been started much earlier before that due to this Zionist movement. The Zionist movement has the agenda to establish the state of Israel, secular state of Israel, and even within this Zionist states, they have uh, their own discriminations among the Jews. The Jews in general can be divided into three groups. I cannot remember the names, specific name, but they are the first group can be those Jews coming from US, Canada, Europe. This is considered to be the elite in that society in Israel because of their Western background and so on. And this is usually the one dominating the political agenda. And then the second group are the Arabs, Jewish, who were before this they were living in Egypt, Syria, some already within the Palestinian area already. They were Arab origins. They were also they follow Judaism. That's their original religion, and this is the second level citizen. They speak Arab. They can also speak Hebrew. And then the third, the lowest of the Jews in Israel today is the African, the black colored Jews. Okay, so extremism, Zionism is extreme because to the extreme, put aside the extreme behavior that they show against the Palestinian, but within their own group, there is harsh discrimination happening. The rights for property ownership is being discriminated against the other lower class Jews, so to say. And then definitely you can see the extreme side of Zionism in the way how they push their agenda in expanding the political, the geographical boundaries of these Israel states. There is a plan to develop the Greater Israel, expanding across Syria, Egypt, all this. They have that such plan. So that's one side of this religious extremism. I think it is also interesting to note that this Zionist movement also take advantage and right over other religious extremism, such as Zionist movement is also taking advantage of evangelical Christian extremists, because there is also some form of Zionist evangelical group. They both are extreme, but they get together to serve the establishment of the Israel state for their own separate agenda. But at the moment they find agreement, let's work together, because we seems to have one similar goal at the moment, where we need to put Jews back to Israel. Both go to the extreme on that. Okay. So that's my point on Zionism. I hope I answered that.
Right. Thank you for your answer. Just a little bit question on the answer that you've given just now. So, since you say that the Zionist movement is completely secular, does this mean that they detach themselves from the Judaism teachings and they brand themselves as, you know, being away from Judaism, or do they use Judaism to their advantage to justify their killings?
Okay, I think okay. For your information, a lot of rabbis in Israel operate the occupied land of the Palestinian. A lot of rabbis had been silenced by the secular state of Israel. The sermon made by rabbis needs to be politically correct in support of the Zionist agenda. So there is a friction between the politic of Zionism and Judaism. All right. Definitely, when I say Judaism, within the follower of Judaism today, they are also extremists. This extremist group also see the benefits of supporting the Zionist agenda. As the same as my example just now, even among the Christian evangelicals, for example, see the benefits of supporting Zionism. Because, why? Because, one example, the evangelicals believe that in order to expedite the return of the Messiah, they need to bring Jews back to Jerusalem. But what happened when this Messiah came, this Messiah comes, he will tell the people, oh, the right religion is Christian, and he will kill all these Jews. Okay, extreme, but at the moment, to realize the return of this Messiah, they need to bring Jews back, support Zionists, support Israel. Right? The same in the context of the Judaism as a religion. Also, there were some who believe that the coming of Messiah, because they also believe in the coming of this person that will establish the Temple of Solomon to to bring back the glory of the state of Israel, reminiscence of the Temple of Solomon period. That's the glory time of Israel. They believe that in order to do this, one way is to support the Zionist agenda. Because yes, Zionism is taking advantage of all these extreme groups, but Zionism can be very political in nature, but political with connection to Judaism. Just like, for example, when we look at Afghanistan, when we look at Malaysia, when we look at other parts of the world, the political party, they are tied to Islam. How this political party, whether they use Islam to the advantage, that's the issue that we are addressing in the context of Zionism. Because Zionism is exploiting Judaism to their own advantage, and every group here, regardless Judaism, Christian, Zionists, are using one another and benefiting to serve their own agenda at the moment.
Alright, so I think it's misleading to say that they are using religion as an bus to their political extremism. That's our topic. Do you say so?
If you want to relate to Zionism, I don't see that. I don't see Zionism because this Israel Zionist state never preached Judaism. I don't know. Maybe I don't pay attention to the Judaism part. If you talk about the struggle of the Palestinians, we can easily see the religious side because you want to free Al-Aqsa. Al-Aqsa is the holiest mosque, right?
Yes.
Have we see or you have read somewhere stated in the Zionist agenda to establish the Temple of Solomon? That comes usually under the Judaism prophecies. If you follow, for example, on YouTube, what's the channel? I follow this video. Something about temple. You can see. I tak ingat nama this channel. Very channel. They show their preparations to welcome the coming of the Messiah from the Judaism perspective. They already prepare all the tools, ceremony, clothing, the design of the Temple of Solomon. This is not as far as my knowledge that I have on this issue. This is not coming from the politics or political party in Israel. This is only from the religious group. Ada ke political party yang based on Judaism? Yang I tahu at the moment, Benjamin Netanyahu is being led by this ultra-extreme Jewish political party. But this Jewish political party is not a dominant party. What happened? The legislation, they come parliament in Israel, and they made fine agreement to form the party, and like it or not, we need to implement this ultra-extreme groups. And so I'm not sure whether this ultra-extreme are really based or whatnot. That might maybe some other expert can elaborate.
Thank you for the information. Thank you. So I try to look at the political party in Israel. What much more closer with Judaism.
that may help.
Alright. Okay. Thank you. Now let's move on to the main focus of the assignment is the impact the individual, family, institution, and
This is
that was all but it was very helpful for us to elaborate the introduction about the main crux is actually the impact. So question number 4 is without listening under such political extremism, impact daily life of the Palestinian community.
These situations has been impacting the Palestinians since Nakba, I think 1948. Nakba was the period when suddenly some Israel groups started to rampage around, start chasing out the Palestinians from the house, and this came out of surprise to the Palestinians. So that's one how Palestine has been affected. Apa lagi soalan tadi saya tak miss.
How does living under such political extremism impact the daily life of Palestinians?
Okay. So that's one. In fact, one point here is even from the very beginning, Palestinians, before this, the Palestinians could live side by side with the Jews under the Ottoman. Then in 1917, a group of Jews were brought into Palestine with this Zionist agenda. And Nakba started that explicitly. And from there on, the position of the Palestine had been pushed to the side, pushed to the side in the context of their land had been taken, they have no political rights. Basically, they were colonized. Remember that 1945, many other countries got their independence at the end of World War II, but the colonization of Palestinian relatively started around that. So that's the funny thing. Okay? So life was not easy. Even now, I visited the occupied land. Various wall was erected all around the area. You go to West Bank, there is a wall sponsored by the US separating the Jewish settlers and the Palestinian. When you hear the word settlers on the news, settlers are this Jewish group who illegally took the land owned by the Palestinian. So that's one type of operation. Land had been taken from them, and then they were denied many things in the political context, like this Mahmoud Abbas, the current Palestinian leader kan. Even though Mahmoud Abbas seems to be the president or leader for the Palestinian, but he basically had no authority to govern the land. Right? Everything needs to be approved by Israel first. There is always conflict, like Palestinian, if they want to start a business, they want to get the license, they're also not sure to get from Palestinian government authority or from the Israel. Because if you get from, sometimes they have to get both to be recognized. So border military was all under Israel. So given that political context, definitely living as an individual, as a family is not easy, right? So that's even just another one. Those who are in the area of Jerusalem near to the Masjid Al-Aqsa, going to Masjid Al-Aqsa is not easy to many young Palestinian only the old people are allowed. Therefore, again here, for us who enjoy freedom, as a family, we want to go to the mosque together with our father, with our grandfather, or whoever we like, or we want to go by ourselves. That's easy. But visiting Masjid Al-Aqsa, for those living near that mosque, it's not easy. That's a direct effect to the Muslim community, the Palestinian in particular. By the way, when we say Palestinian, don't Palestinian also include the Christian, you know, right? And Christian Palestinian also have they also being discriminated again by the Jewish government. So that's another dimension that we always overlook or neglected.
All right. Is there any particular reason why the youngsters are not allowed to go visit Al Aqsa as accessible as the older generations are?
Number one, that's a very sensitive area because near in the compound of the old city, because Al-Aqsa is situated in the old city. Old city is like a castle basically, just to give you a rough idea. In that, there is Masjid Al-Aqsa, a compound. Masjid Al-Aqsa is a big compound. There are few mosques there. And then there is the Israel side where they have this crying wall. There is also Christian side. There is also Ammonite, Armanite, how to say it. There's also another side, 4 quarters. It's a sensitive area. From the Israel government perspective, they see these young people as a threat to safety. And in order to ensure they have no access to that, this is a form of psychological warfare against the Palestinian. The young of them are always being considered as threats. This is just like Fir'aun. Right? Fir'aun did this to the to the Israel before, but now Israel is doing it. They didn't learn from their own history. Fir'aun even killed babies. Right? And that's also what the Israel is doing now. They kill babies, they kill women, and so on. So you can see this Zionist ideology is extreme. Right?
Okay, I think with that one question alone, we managed to cover the impact on the individual, family, and society of the Palestinians. So I think we can cut a few questions down here to save the time. Now we've spoken about the Palestinians. Now let's shift to the perspective of the Israelis. Right. So the next question is, um, what is the what is the impact of this political extremism on the Israelis?
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, Elon Musk got into controversy when he said that if Israel killed one Palestinian, that will give birth to 5 more extremists from the Palestinian. And he was then, rebuked by Israel because he made that statement quite recently. Right? That's the implications of extreme behavior is extreme behavior. You'll get the same response. And now the extreme behavior of the Zionist Israel not just creates anger among the Palestinian, but the sympathy and also anger from many other countries in the world. So this definitely will end in the most extreme way, and it's already started. Any conflict, the extreme of any conflict is war. War already started. So when war is fueled by more extreme, then it will ignite more war, and you can see the border now has been expanded to Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and all other parts, right? So that's the implication of extreme behavior by these Zionists. But in the long run, even if there is some peace solution, they manage to come, let's say, hopefully soon. In my opinion, and if you look at the history of the establishment of this Israel state, since its establishment, never, never modern Middle East countries live peacefully with Israel there. And I will extend that even. Right? Since the collapse of the Islamic civilization, World War One, World War Two, and then the dominance of US superpower, the world never become a peaceful place to live. Relative peace were enjoyed during the time of Islamic civilization. This is not biased statement because I'm Muslim, but you can look at the history where peace you can get under the Islamic system. You cannot find peace even under the Western powers. Right? Those under the caliphate of Islam, relatively they were more peaceful. They were living peacefully. You look at Cordova, Spain, the 12th century rabbi of the Jews, right? Rambam that I mentioned in the class. Right? This is Moses Maimonides, that's his name, or Moses bin Maimun. He was born in 1136. Yeah. Al-Ghazali passed away in 1111. But then Rambam, that's his short famous nickname, he became the doctor to Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. You can see how Jewish Christian can prosper under the Islamic civilization. Collapse of the Ottoman Empire, then you can see we are living in this period. Since then, the world was so chaotic, and I think at the moment we are climbing to much more intense conflict periods after the end of World War II. World War One, World War Two is intense by their own standard. Now we are moving to another intense conflict, global political period. So that's something where politicians, economists, younger generation like you need to be aware of, sensitive, and plan for the best for our own community within our own capacity, because how to navigate ourselves, our society in a very conflicting turbulence period, we need to plan and have good agenda for that. By the way, just to add on this Palestinian, remember when we talk about the effect of to the Palestinian in Palestine, but there are many Palestinian living outside Palestine. There were these Palestinians all over the world. They were intellectuals. They were investing a lot in their human capital and whatnot. They are sensitive to the conflict because they see Palestine as their birthplace. They want to go back, but they have been refused entry, and the external, they live outside. They are also now mobilizing their own society, organizations, agenda, right, to make us aware of the issue. That's one aspect. Palestinian within, inside, Palestinian outside, expanding more, because in the occupied land there is Masjid al-Aqsa, Therefore, it is not just about Palestinian and Palestinian politics. The Ummah should also realize that Masjid Al-Aqsa is there. Okay, so that's also trigger another level of awareness should be, and that's also can some people can go to extreme because now it's very much religious sentiment. So that's what I want to add.
Alright. I think we've covered both effects on the Palestinians, Israelis, and also the global world and humanity at large. So I think let's go to our final question and try to wrap up the interview discussion. Finally, question number 8. Do you think the Zionists really realize the damage that they are causing to humanity? Or are they blinded by this extreme ideology? So much so that they think whatever they are doing is the right thing to do.
These Zionists, they had planned for their agenda long time ago. So this is not something happening without plan. If you look at the establishment of Zionist movement, how the Jews are being imported or exported to the occupied land, these are all planned. Maybe there are events where the response are ad hoc. For example, due to October 7 attack by Hamas, then the response made by the current Israel administration, they don't even anticipate the conflict can go to this level. But in the context of long-term trajectory of what they do, they have plan. They have clear plan. Otherwise, that's why Tun Mahathir, our ex-prime minister, said that the US was run by the Zionist proxy. That really upset the Zionists and the US government. When I say this, US is run by Zionist proxy, meaning it's a long-term plan. You put your people in US politics, make sure you can pull string in the United States. That's what we can see. Both Democrats, Republicans, senators in the United States, they were submitting their political credits to you for the interest of Zionists. In the local politics, they were not popular in supporting Zionist extremism, but they are willing to sacrifice their political mileage or credits in support of Zionism. This can only happen because of subtle, well-planned agenda by this Zionist group. Okay, so that's I think my comment on that. It's not ad hoc. This is well planned. The problem is, just to give you a clear comparison, the Ummah, how coordinated is the Ummah in terms of planning. Our agenda, for example, the agenda to free Al-Aqsa. I think in the mind of every Muslim, we know that we need to free Al-Aqsa, but how coordinated that awareness to the execution of that. Some of the Muslim even think, just wait for Imam Mahdi and the return of Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam, then we get to free Al-Aqsa. So that's a very laid back approach. So that's something for us to think about.
I think that's a very interesting note to end the interview on. So what you are saying is that the Zionists, they are acting based on an orchestrated agenda, although they know that their agenda is not necessarily a good thing. and they're not doing it out of some moral conscience. Mm, so despite the damage that they are causing, they are still proceeding with the agenda, and in the name of expanding their ideology and their nation state. So I think that's the end of the interview.
Okay.
Would you like to have any concluding remarks?
Because you learn all these important issues now while you are studying, I would say that's very good to increase your knowledge and awareness on these current conflicts. I think this knowledge, hopefully Allah will bless you and snowball it so that
Mm,
you can create awareness and do something. Okay? This is not just about we learn, get the information, then what? For example, I started to say this when I teach Islamic economics. We have the knowledge now. We also need to think Islamic economics, how to make the United States, Canada, Israel want to import and apply Islamic economics. Just like how US want us to adopt capitalism.
mm.
Okay, so we need to have that mentality, not just Islamic economy is just for our local economy and whatnot. Broader, global. We need to think like that. Then only we can see the growth of the ummah, the revival of the ummah. I think that should be your focus as the next generation. I think that's my conclusion.
All right. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time to attend this interview. We really appreciate it. We got more than what we expected for, and this will definitely aid in the execution of the project. So thank you so much,
Fadila,
Dr. Nahar.
welcome. I just realized I did not on my video throughout.
Tak apa. It's all right. It's all right.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much. You've been tremendous, and your classes are amazing. I really like the
Alhamdulillah.
attending
Hopefully.
your class.
Okay. Thank you.
Inshallah.
Assalamualaikum.
Pray for our finals. Thank you, sir. Right. Alright, habis.